Hey, what's up? This is Gary from Raz Rentals, and this is a very special review because this is the first review that I'm making in my brand new attic space. You know, before I was down in my office, now I have my attic. It's a mess, but we're getting there. We're getting there. You know, it still looks the same to you though, pretty much same setup and everything. But trust me, for me, it's very different. All right, so Alien. All right. Alien and Aliens are two of my favorite movies. Both of them are very different, but they both succeed on every level, you know? They've got awesome stories, great characters, beautiful sets, and one of the greatest, most unique movie monsters in all of cinema. Of course, I'm talking about the devilish Xenomorph. You know, I've always loved this design ever since I was a little kid. There's something about it that would creep me out, but I just couldn't look away. You know, I had to see more and more of this guy. He was very unearthly and very unique, you know, with this elongated head and this soulless, eyeless face. You know, you have the double mouth and everything like that. You know, I wasn't even allowed to watch R-rated movies when I was a kid, but I would talk my parents into letting me see all the scenes where you could see the alien on the screen. I just couldn't get enough. So you could imagine how excited I was when I watched the Ninja Turtles one Saturday morning, the Case of the Killer Pizzas to be exact, and I saw this guy right here. Holy crap, that guy looks just like an alien. I mean, sure, yeah, he's got eyes and he's yellow, but you know, his silhouette and his body shape is almost exactly the same as the aliens from the movie, you know? And I just love that. I thought it was really cool. It was like a little Easter egg in my Ninja Turtle cartoon that, you know, all of us kids got to see. He's got these giant, sharp, pointy teeth, which makes him the most vicious creature to ever show up on the Fred Wolf series. And, you know, I always loved when they would throw this guy into all the video games, you know, the Turtles in Time and, what's it called? Back to the Sewers, Ninja Turtles 2 on Game Boy. I thought it was great whenever he would show up. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, my love of aliens and turtles was colliding in awesome and amazing ways. Except for one, toys. They never made any toys of this guy back in the day. Just like so many other guys from the Fred Wolf series, I could never play with the Pizza Monsters and my original Ninja Turtle toys. But, as you probably know, the future sometimes is really awesome. And the awesome dudes and dudettes at NECA finally scratched another name off the list of toys I've wanted for the past 30 years. Man, I cannot wait to see what NECA puts out next year, you know. This year was an amazing year, and this is a nice way to end my December. Alright, so real quick, I ordered both of these guys from the NECA store back on April 17th, and I just received them on December 23rd. That's 8 months. Holy crap. They cost $34.99 a piece, plus $14.99 for shipping. You could only order 2 at a time, which was, you know, kind of strange because in the original episode, there are 3 of these guys running around. The front cover here looks just like the old VHS tapes that we all loved and had back in the day. The artwork is done by Dan Elson. He's been doing an amazing job recreating this classic look. Here is the original Case of the Killer Pizzas videotape cover. Here you can see that they only showed a little tiny bit of the Pizza Monster. Now here on this brand new one, he's all right up in the forefront, you know. You can see his face really good. I love this shot, too, of Mikey just sitting here, like, nonchalant, eating a pizza, and he doesn't know that, like, the Pizza Monster's back there. I mean, look at that guy. He looks crazy mean, like he's gonna eat Michelangelo, and he's just like, oh, pizza time, dude. They could have possibly maybe put like 2 of the Ninja Turtles in the forefront here, like you're looking over their shoulder at this, like, you know, Donnie's here and Leo's here, and they're like sort of thing, you know. But that probably would have cluttered up the design and everything like that. So, you know, everything is just perfect the way it is. I think color-wise, too, I really like the aquas in the water and stuff like that. It all looks pretty awesome. The sewer tube on the cover is called the Sewer Army Tube, and as you can see, it was originally released in the 1989 wave of the original Ninja Turtle line. It was pretty cool. You know, these things are kind of funny, though. I never had these as a kid, so I always wondered if people played with them in the bathtub, because all these stickers would come right off, I would imagine. So was the sewer army tube in the cartoon? Why, yes. Yes, it was. The tubes only show up in season 3 episodes. Those episodes include Pizza by the Shred, 20,000 Leaks Under the City, The Case of the Hot Kimono, and this one you can see really well in the episode Bye Bye Fly. As you can see here, Donnie has it around his waist and he inflates it before, they go try to find Baxter or Shredder. I can't remember exactly why they're going, but they're going. They're going. Down at the bottom here, you can see that the name of this deluxe figure is Another One Bites the Crust. That's a good one. I always love how NECA writes out, the letters NECA down at the bottom, just like FHE was written down on the bottom of the original videotapes. It stood for Family Home Entertainment. Now on the bottom here, what I think is really awesome, but there's a but. What I think is really awesome is that they actually have the accessories included. They actually tell you what the things are in here, because lots of times you buy these action figures, you have no idea what they are. Well, here it tells you. Accessories include control device, juvenile monster, pizza, and pizza box. Now, here's the thing, all right? Lots of times when people get these action figures and review them, a lot of the times they think that the obscure items included are tracking devices. For whatever reason, they always think the stuff included is a tracking device. I don't know if NECA tells them that or what. All right, so the obscure device in this deluxe set, or this deluxe figure box, it is not a control device. It is a tracking device. This is the first one where it's a tracking device, and it's not called a tracking device. Now, I will discuss and tell you what the device is, what episode it was from and what it was tracking, but I'll talk about that a little later. And I will actually show you, shots from the cartoon to kind of explain or show you what the actual controlling device looks like in this episode of Ninja Turtles. On the side, you can see that this is volume number 7. Now, I've covered most of the other volumes, 1 through 6. Except for 6, I still have to do my review of Chrome Dome, which I'm, kicking myself. I can't believe I haven't talked about that yet. But I will get to it soon. I will try. All right, on the back here, you have a little nice description. Shredder and Baxter Stockman devise a scheme to ensnare the turtles with free pizzas, topped with a sinister secret ingredient: 3 devilish eggs from Dimension X. When the prized pizzas are mistakenly delivered to April and a pair of bratty bambinos, the mysterious monster eggs hatch, and the cretinous critters escape into the city sewers. There, an even deadlier surprise awaits. Once exposed to water, the creatures mature into 15-foot rampaging beasts. Can the heroes in a half-shell capture Krang's creatures... Oh my gosh. Can the heroes in a half-shell capture Krang's creature control device and subdue the destructive demons before it's too late? Yes. Yes, they can. On the back here, you have some more wonderful artwork from Dan Elson. That's a very nice looking scene. You got Shredder down at the bottom here. You have Baxter Stockman, still a human. And you just have some misfit pizza monsters. That model sheet might be a little, off a little bit. But the other guys look perfectly fine. Back at the front here, do I dare open up the flap and take a peek at what's inside? Yes, I dare. All right. So on one side here, you have a pretty nice action shot of the pizza monster. And just look how gigantic this dude's head is. Like, he is all head. That looks huge. It actually doesn't look that big when you look at the action figure itself. It's just a lot of perspective, but that's one gigantic cranium. And on this side, you could just see the guy sitting in there. I mean, and you look at that and you're just like, alien. That's all I see is alien. But I love it. I love this yellow dude. I never got that NECA yellow alien that they put out to specifically call out to the Ninja Turtle fans. So it's cool to get this guy and it's his Fred Wolf series glory. looks pretty awesome. So without further ado, I will talk to you in a second after I open this guy up and his brother and move them around to make sure that nothing's broken. So here they are, fresh out of the package and ready to eat some Ninja Turtles. You know, my first thoughts on these guys is just, they look great, you know. When you look at them, they definitely have a lot of character. Just like setting them up like this, I feel like they definitely look like they are like interacting with each other, you know, and that's, you know, that's something, you know, because I mean, these are toys, you know, they're inanimate objects. So when you can kind of give them personality and set them up in ways that, you know, convey some kind of emotion or action, that's pretty amazing. And these guys can definitely convey some emotion, some angry emotion, you know. My other first thoughts are, you know, the joints aren't as stiff as they used to be in the beginning of last year. You know, I think it was the beginning of last year, or the year before that, NECA's joints were extremely stiff. The joints are moving a lot better now. The problem that I had with these guys is that some of the plastic feels a little more gummy than it used to be. Like, NECA plastic used to be really sturdy and stiff. These guys feel a little bendy. You know, they're not as solid as they used to be, I think. So that could be a problem because some of the pegs are very thin, especially in the ankles and the wrists, you know. So that's something you definitely got to watch out for. Another thing is when I pulled these guys out, I thought, man, you know, that stinks that their tails stick out straight like that. Like, how are you supposed to put that in a box? But then I looked at, like, I thought, like, you know, I wish these were like rubber and you could move them around. And then I looked on the bottom and I noticed those holes. You know what those holes mean? That means that this tail is rubber. So you can bend that around and shape it how you like it. So that's great, you know, that's perfect. It's like NECA knew what I was going to say and tried to do something about it. It's sometimes, you know, getting them to stand up is a little, you know, maybe a little tricky. That's not necessarily a NECA thing. That might just be like how they're built. You know, they got these giant heads and they kind of have like thin bodies. So you just kind of have to find the balance and, you know, work it out. So before I take a closer look at these guys, first let's talk about the Pizza Monsters in the cartoon. The Pizza Monsters only show up in one episode of the Fred Wolf series, The Case of the Killer Pizzas, from Season 2. As the episode opens up, Krang sends some Dimension X eggs to the Shredder. Will these eggs finally help Shredder end his never-ending quest of Ninja Turtle side? What do you think? The Shredder plans to trick the Turtles into taking these eggs back to their lair, where they'll hatch, and the creatures inside will eat the Turtles. How will he do this? Well, first he drops a bunch of Big Pizza Bake-Off brochures advertising free pizza into the sewers. He knows that the Turtles will always come out for free pizza. Next, at the Big Pizza Bake-Off, the Shredder has Baxter drop an egg on 3 raffle prize pizzas. These deluxe prize pizzas were donated by UFO Pizza. Then, Baxter rigs the raffle so the Turtles win all 3 pizzas. However, Baxter doesn't know that UFO switched out 2 of the pizzas at the last minute. You see, UFO got an order for 2 deluxe pizzas, and instead of taking the time to make 2 brand new ones, they decided to take these 2 pre-made pizzas out for delivery. Then, they replaced them before the drawing was over. Now, whoever orders a pizza and gets one delivered that's been sitting around for like an hour or so getting cold. So, now the Turtles have 2 regular pizzas and 1 pizza that includes one of the Pizza Monster eggs. But, out of the kindness of their hearts, the Turtles decide to give 1 pizza to April. And which pizza did they give her? Why, accidentally they give her the UFO pizza, of course. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Turtles don't know that Pizza Monster's on that pizza. But, I mean, April does get them into a lot of trouble. They probably don't want her to get eaten, but, you know, maybe they just hope she gets maimed or something. No. We all know it's, you know, it's all a coinkydink, right? So April takes the pie to Irma's, and Irma sticks the whole thing, box and all, into the microwave. I love this shot here where this hair keeps skipping around on the frame. I think that's really funny. The microwaves cause the eggs to hatch, and a baby pizza monster is born. Boy, April and Irma are going to be upset when they find out that their pizza's gone. April calls the guys, they show up at Irma's, but they're unable to catch this little guy. They roll him up in like a rug, but the monster is able to burn his way out. Fire breath or acid spit. It doesn't really say. Either way, it's very alien inspired, right? The turtles decide to leave April and Irma alone with this baby pizza monster so that they can go track down the other two pizzas. And that's when they follow the UFO delivery man to this apartment building where these two brats live. As soon as the brats get their pizzas, they throw them in the microwave. So, I guess they were expecting a cold pizza. Is that like UFO specialty or something? You also gotta wonder, what the hell was the delivery guy doing all this time? I mean, think about it. The delivery guy grabs these two pizzas and drives off to deliver them, right? In the time it took him to deliver these, the turtles get into a fight with the shredder and win. The turtles won the drawing. They chatted with April for a little bit. They gave her a pizza. They headed to the sewers to go home while April went to Irma's. Irma heats the pizza up. The monster attacks. April calls the guys at the sewer lair. They have to travel all the way to Irma's place on, I assume, the blimp. They try to capture the monsters. Then they leave, board their blimp again, and search the city only to find this guy as he's just rolling up to the apartment building. Did he, go home and take a nap, or what? I mean, I wouldn't tip this guy at all. I mean, this guy is a terrible delivery guy. So, the kids hatch the monsters. The monsters run amok and use their unknown burning ability to, burn through stuff. They burn through a manhole so they can enter the sewer. At Irma's apartment, the creature burns through the back of a dryer and also a concrete wall, so he can also enter the sewer. I love this shot where Irma follows the pizza monster into the sewer. It's just cool when you see this profile and you can see her crawling through the tunnels. It would have been cool if they would have had some kind of neat mystery objects above her. There's an episode of The Simpsons where they go through the ground and you see all these dinosaur bones and stuff like that. I think it's when Bart goes to hell. But anyways, the pizza monster jumps into the sewer water where, all three pizza monsters jump into the sewer water where they grow in size. So, these guys also seem to be inspired by Gremlins a little bit, in my opinion. Everybody enters the sewers, not knowing just how dangerous things have become. All of the good guys aren't alone, however. Baxter and the Shredder are also in the sewers. Baxter has this control device, which controls the pizza monsters. As you can see, it's very different, from this bit that's included in this set. The turtles try to fight the monsters, but these dudes are way too big for them. And things get worse when Donnie knocks the control device into the water. Now they're completely out of control, and no one's safe. Luckily, Baxter has Krang's Dimension X egg instructions, which tell him that if they blast the creatures with a large burst of energy, they'll return to eggs again. So, the battle continues for a bit, and eventually it ends when Leo electrocutes the monsters with some power lines. All in all, very cool. I like it. Do I like this episode? Of course. I think of this episode a lot when I think of my favorite episodes of the Ninja Turtles cartoon from when I was a kid. Most of the fond memories I have of this episode is just the awesome pizza monster design. And I also kind of like how this episode feels like a bunch of 80s movies mixed together. So let's see how accurate this guy is to the show. And, just real quick, again, this thing is amazing. You can really get some cool looks with this guy. I'm pretty in awe at how giant and cool looking he really is. So it gets a little tricky in this episode because even though the design stays similar, the model just changes a lot. Proportions get a little different, and it's hard to get a standard look, I guess. Like here when they're underwater, they have like more of like a rougher design, you know. Their teeth are really big and pointy. And here, I'd say that like their head proportions changed, and they don't look as cool. You know, they don't have that as scary of a look to them. I think this shot right here looks a little close to the figure. The face is a little more round, and the back of the head is, you know, more of like a cone shape. Like sometimes it's very sausagey looking. He's got like a giant kielbasi on his head. But this one I think looks pretty close to this action figure. Here you can see the action figure. Um, yeah, he's just got. I think he has more of a rounder face. I think his eyes look a lot better on this action figure than they do in some of those shots in the cartoon. I mean, you look at this shot right here, and he's like way different, you know? In this shot, you can see that when it comes to their bodies, they're pretty sleek. Their biceps are very thin, and their elbows and forearms are like huge, you know? They're very emphasized. Where you can see, like, where the pecs would be on the chest, it's usually broken up into 3 segments. If you take a look at the action figure, you can see here that he is pretty sleek. He is very thin. You know, I also have to mention, like, on my camera, just the way that it's, like, focusing on this guy, it really makes his head look gigantic. Like, in person, it is not that big. It's just because of, you know, the way the camera focuses on the body. But it looks a lot better in person than it does. Like, look at this. It looks like his head is just gigantic. But like I said, it's not the case. So his body is pretty thin. He does have like these shoulders that kind of, the shoulders kind of stick off the body, and then you have like the thin biceps. You have the huge forearms and elbows. Now his chest here, like the pec situation, he kind of has this 3 segment look, but it just looks like this has been stretched out a lot further down. Like it kind of just becomes like, this would be like your pec area, and then like, you know, this looks like a normal build, kind of. So, I don't know. It looks like they try to get that look, but they just didn't necessarily get the whole thing of the 3 segments. You know, it looks fine though. Like, he still looks cool. The legs have plates on top of the thighs, and on the front of the calves or the shin, you can see the plates there. It looks like there's kind of like bat wings coming off of his calves. On the action figure, you can see that he does have like these plates or scales going down his thighs. You do have them on the shins, and you do have like the bat wing calves. So that all looks good. His feet look pretty good too, compared to the show. All the paint is very clean. It looks nice. There is a very nice like shine, like a highlight going down the middle of his leg there. That's pretty cool looking. It makes him look very like slippery or kind of slimy or something like that. The back of him does have like the cell shaded look that you do see in the cartoon. Although I will say that the like the tail here is kind of strange because you have the shadow on the back and then the tail is yellow on top right here. So that just doesn't match necessarily. As you can see here, sometimes in the show, all these details in the legs get a little sloppy, a little lazy. You know, like I think the animators, like I said, just didn't do the best job of staying on model here. The last body part that I gotta talk about is the tail. Now, in the cartoon, the tail can be very fat. Like, fatter than it should ever be, you know? Like, if you look at this shot, the tail doesn't even look like it makes sense with the rest of his body. So if you look at this action figure, they gave him a much thinner tail. And as I mentioned before, it's great that it's actually bendy. You know, one of the things about Mondo Gecko, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a bendy tail. So when you like try to like put him in like a box or storage or something like that, that tail kind of gets in your way. But here, you know, you can move this around, and I don't know, it's pretty cool. Hopefully it doesn't like get kind of weird over time, as, you know, rubber tends to sometimes. But anyways, they gave him a thinner tail, and you know, I think it looks good with the rest of his body. You know, it's not as fat as it appears in the show, but it just, you know, it makes sense for this body type. You know, it looks good coming off of his derriere. So everything looks pretty awesome on this guy. Like, he's not 100% accurate to the cartoon, but I do think that there are some spots on him that they made a little better. Like, I think the tail is better. I do like the look of his face more than some of the shots in the cartoon. I feel like his eyes look really good. Sometimes it's just like a little lackluster or something like that. Although I do like the pointy teeth look, like the long pointy teeth when they're in the water. I think that's pretty cool. But in general, I think that this encompasses a lot of the cool design that you can see in that cartoon. Now, I was also wondering if this figure was made to look like the Turtles in Time pizza monster at all. And, nah, you know, I don't see anything that looks specifically Turtles in Time on this guy. What about Back to the Sewers on Game Boy? Actually, you know, the head on this guy looks a little similar to this brand new NECA action figure. So that's kind of neat. All right, so there's one more toon comparison that we gotta do, and that's scale. Now, in the cartoon, the Pizza Monster scale changes from shot to shot. You know, sure, they start off as those small little guys, they jump in the water, and then they get really big. But, you know, sometimes they're absolutely massive in size. Like, look how giant they are next to the Shredder. They're, like, too big, you know? It was never like established in the cartoon that like they continue to grow. It's just that, you know, when they were little, they jumped in the water and then they got bigger. That was it. You know, they never said like, oh, they continue to grow as they, you know, get wetter and wetter or something like that. If you look at these guys next to Michelangelo here, you know, they're probably undersized when you compare it to most shots of the episode. But, you know, in my opinion, I think their size is fine. You know, NECA wasn't going to make these guys huge or anything like that, but I think that they are at least bigger than the Turtles, and they're still very intimidating. Like, they look like they're going to rip Michelangelo apart, you know? It's not like, to me, size is not a factor here. They are still like scary looking monsters. They may even be closer into scale to, you know, the Pizza Monsters and Turtles in Time. And let's be honest here, more people have probably played Turtles in Time over the past 30 years than have gone back and watched that Season 2 episode. Next up, we get to talk about articulation. So this guy has a lot of decent articulation. I think there are a few weird spots, but in general, I think it's pretty good. You have a ball joint at the bottom of the head, and you have a ball joint in the neck. So you can look up pretty high, and he can look like straight down. You know, I think you got a lot of good movement with that. His mouth opens and closes. I think that, you know, the different expressions you can get with his face, whether you have it closed or open, all look great, you know. His shoulders have ball joints and they have a hinge. Now these are weird because, you know, they kind of look like they're stuck on his body, but that's pretty much how he looks in the cartoon too, you know. He's got these like big, you know, ball shoulders attached to his scrawny, skinny body. So, you know, it looks good. And that moves around pretty well. I do, like I said earlier, I do kind of worry a little bit about the pegs, just because they seem a little thinner than they usually are. Now, here's one of the spots where I don't necessarily like the articulation, I almost said animation, because I'm not a big fan of double jointed elbows. I think lots of times they're strange, and I think that this is one of them, because you know, it just looks a little like gummy or like Play-Doh or something like that. Like it's weird. Like, you don't need him to, like, you know, talk on the phone or anything like that. Like, you just need him to be able to reach out and grab the Ninja Turtles. So, you know, I just kind of bend mine at that one spot right there and just kind of leave this alone. But yeah, so you have double jointed elbows. You have a hinge on both of them. You have this swivel here at the bicep. And down here you can swivel too by the forearm, but mine's a little stiff. And like I said, very thin pegs. Be careful. His wrists swivel around. And they also have a peg, or I'm sorry, a hinge. Now, I kind of think that he should have, like, it would have been cool if they would have had an extra set of hands or something like that. Just because, like, I was trying to get him to, like, grab the Ninja Turtles with these hands, and I wasn't having an easy time of it, trying to get him to hold Michelangelo in the air. Like, I think that it would have been a little better if he had a bigger grip. So you got 1 point of articulation in the torso. You got nothing in the waist here, but this right underneath the pecs, or the the ab crunch or whatever, is a ball joint. You can move him forward a little bit. You can move him back a little bit, side to side a little bit, and that kind of rotates. But because of like the shape of this, since it is an oval, like, I mean, you can only rotate it so far before it's stopped. NECA, of course, always has this great leg articulation that I'm very fond of now. It wasn't always like this in the beginning of NECA, but now I really like it. I like how the leg actually wraps around that ball, and it's a separate piece to the leg. I don't know, something about it just works so well. And like, even if that piece in there got stuck and couldn't turn, then you could just have it like rotate on the ball, I don't know if that makes any sense. Whatever. You should get it by now. All right, he's got double jointed knees. They have hinges, and both of them can swivel. Although, once again, very swift. No, this one doesn't swivel. It's just a hinge. Now, his double jointed knees actually aren't that bad. That doesn't look too off. So maybe it's because of how far the knee sticks out forward. Like, it doesn't like crunch in like a lot of double jointed knees usually do. So that's actually a pretty decent looking double jointed knee. I like this. The ankle here has a hinge, and you have ankle rockers. Again, very thin peg. Be careful. The tail is articulated at the base of his lower torso, or the back of his lower torso. It's got a ball joint there, so it moves around really well. And because this is, rubber, and you have a wire strip in there or whatever, or metal wire, you can bend it around pretty well. Like, it feels kind of funny, actually. It feels like I can feel the wire moving around, like rotating as I'm doing it. Like, usually you don't have that kind of feel with this kind of stuff, but like, maybe it must be maybe it's like a thick wire or something in there. I don't know. It actually looks a little thick. I don't know if you can kind of see it there in this big hole at the top of the tail here. But anyways, lots of decent, good articulation to make you happy. So you can get the Pizza Monster to hold him. You can't get him to hold him with one hand. You have to use two hands. Just because his grip isn't big enough to be able to grab Michelangelo, it's a little difficult to balance him, because some of his joints are a little loose. So he will fall forward a little bit. You kind of have to lean him back a bit. But, he can hold him okay. Get away from her, you bitches! Now, if you don't remember that in the episode, Mikey actually said that in the 20-minute extended director's cut version of The Case of the Killer Pizzas. In that one, they have more of a backstory about, Krang finding the eggs on Dimension X before he sends them to the shredder. There's also an alternate ending where a pizza monster actually bursts through April's sternum. It was probably a little too violent for kids' cartoons at the time. It took them like 32 or 33 years to make these Pizza Monster toys, but they finally made them, and I'm super happy. I think these guys look pretty amazing, and I think if you pick these up, you're going to be pretty happy. Like I said, there are some flaws here. I do think that their hip articulation is it's just like a little loose. It's like the connecting piece that wraps around that ball just isn't very tight, so sometimes trying to get them to stand upright can be a little tricky. But once you get it, you'll be happy with the outcome, because these guys just look, awesome next to the Ninja Turtles. And now I got to hunt down a third one. So now we get to move on to one of my favorite parts about these Fred Wolf videos, and that's accessories. First up, you have the juvenile Pizza Monster. Now, this guy is the exact same Pizza Monster that was included with April and the Bashed Foot Soldier way back in 2020. So, nothing new here. He's just a cool little red guy. Here you can see this little red guy in the cartoon. He likes to run around and wreak havoc right before he becomes the giant yellow guy who, wants to eat people. Next up, you have the pizza, a deluxe pizza, I assume. It looks similar to the pizza in Irma's microwave, but it does not look like the pizzas, that I guess that pizza in the microwave was one of these pizzas. In the drawing, these pizzas look completely different than normal pizzas. What's up with them? Up next, you have the UFO pizza box. Now, this is pretty awesome, and I don't know if this was included at all with, I don't think I'm really missing any of the Fred Wolf figures other than the diorama. I don't think anything special was released with the diorama, but if it was, let me know. I think that this is brand new for this brand new cool pizza box. This is pretty awesome because it's not made out of cardboard, it's made out of plastic, and it opens. It has a nice hinge in there. And you can put your deluxe pizza right inside of there. So that is pretty awesome. It's a little better than the original pizza box that was included in this line. I only have the weird pizza box version because I never picked up the promo art 2-packs of the Turtles. And this one never closes. Whenever I have this in storage, it's always like this. And I'd always kind of feel like this door is going to break one of these days. Something's going to be pushing up against it and it's going to snap or something. So this is great. This is great being able to actually close this thing. I like this a lot. I hope every single pizza box in the future is, made like this. The actual UFO logo, you don't see that at all in the storefront. You actually see that later on the pizza delivery vehicle. So there you go. Back to the box. Here's the logo with the UFO name on the box. And last, what is this thing? Well, it's from the Season 3 episode, Take Me to Your Leader. In that episode, Krang and Shredder put a solar siphon on top of mile-high towers. This device sucks up all the sun's energy, and it stores it in solar batteries. For what purpose? To free the Technodrome, of course. As the energy is drained from the sun, the Earth starts to drop into a deep freeze. This device is an energy tracker that Donatello invented prior to this event. Boy, is he glad that he built this thing. For a little bit, anyways. I mean, it leads them to a bomb that the Shredder planted in a building. He tricked them. That chrome-faced rat. Somehow, he knew that Donnie could track him down. There's a lot of really cool detail on this thing. All the switches and the knobs look great. The paint is done really well. The screen looks pretty good. There's even some little details underneath that. It's pretty neat how small this is, and they were able to cram so much cool stuff into it. Even on the side, you can see some wires, and you get that little knob or whatever on the side. On the back here, or the top, you have the fins. Those all look really nice, and I'm really impressed by how good those blue tubes look. I think that maybe they're a separate piece that's glued into place, because, this isn't just one solid piece. Pieces are hanging and, separate and stuff like that. I don't know. It's very cool, highly detailed, and I think it's really well done. It's one of the coolest tracking devices I've ever seen before. There's absolutely nothing on the bottom, so just so you know. But the rest of it looks pretty awesome. Now, because I only have the SDCC Ninja Turtles, I'm still waiting for my disguise set from NECA. I don't know when the heck's that's supposed to come. My Ninja Turtles only have these small grip hands. They're only good for holding their weapons. But I've been told that they have a bigger gripping hand in the disguise set. So I can't tell you if they're able to hold this or not. So far, not. I actually really recommend this episode. It's a favorite of mine from Season 3. First, I love it because I love snow. Snow is awesome. It looks really cool, and it looks awesome when everything's covered in snow. So it's really neat seeing the Ninja Turtles walk around in the snow and, search for stuff, whatever. There's also something about this episode that reminds me of two of the NES games. It reminds me of the first one a little bit, like when they're tracking down the energy device. Sometimes you kind of have like a bird's eye view of the Ninja Turtles walking around. It kind of reminds me of like when you're in the third level and you're like, driving around in the turtle van and stuff like that. And it also reminds me of the second game, the snow level in the second game. Because of, they use a weather device to make it snow in New York in the middle of the summer or whatever it is. They even encounter a polar bear in this episode. So that's pretty neat. I like Krang's winter gear. I actually like to see a hat and a scarf and an accessories pack sometime in the future. That'd be awesome. And I also like Leo's plot in this episode, Leo feels insecure as the leader. He has a bad dream, so he decides to split from the turtles. This leaves the other three turtles taking turns as the leader. And I think it's awesome to see, each turtle try to use their different methods or the way they act to lead the other turtles. And, none of it works. The only way that it'll work is if they're led by Leonardo. So in my opinion, you should check out this episode. I like it. All right, so are there any missing accessories in this set? Well, first, I think that they could have had the actual Pizza Monster control device. I don't. It's funny that they included like the tracking device and said it was a control device when it's not. I think it'll be funny in the future if they do release the Pizza Monster control device and call it a tracking device. I kind of feel like that's going to happen. And that'll be great when it happens. The other thing I would have included is like a second set of monster hands, It's not a deal breaker, but I kind of feel like, it'd be cooler if you could get more expressions out of these giant monsters. The last thing that I would say that they could have included, but again, it's not a deal breaker because you only get to see it on screen for like 3 seconds, if that. But it's the orange version of the Pizza Monster. First he's the red monster and he's running around causing all this havoc, burning through stuff with his fire breath or acid breath, whatever he's got. And then he jumps in the water, and for a split second you see the orange Pizza Monster, right? It's his in-between size before he becomes the giant yellow Pizza Monster. So, like I said, it's not necessary. But, it just would have been cool to have like another size and also an orange Pizza Monster just to have for, whatever reason why you might want to have one. All right, so here you can sort of see how the Pizza Monster scales with, I'm pretty sure most of them, I know Vernon isn't here. I'm not sure if there's any other body types missing in this comparison. To be honest with you, it is getting harder and harder to make these comparison shots of the different body types in this line because there are so many different types of bodies in this line at this point. Like, this is one of the greatest toy lines ever. I saw that Toy Shiz recently released a video called like the best toy line of 2021, and the thumbnail was a picture of the Fred Wolf. The NECA Fred Wolf toys, and I haven't watched it yet. I do like Toy Shiz's videos, so I will check that out. But I definitely agree with him. I mean, last year was an amazing year for this line. So as you can see here, the Pizza Monster, he's not the tallest in the line, but he scales pretty tall. He's like almost as tall as Krang, but obviously Chrome Dome is the tallest in this line. And at this point, it's just embarrassing already that I haven't made my my Chrome Dome review. I got to get on top of that. I really do. But, I don't know. These new ones come out, so I do them first. And I just keep on putting him on the back burner. But I got to get to him. I got to do it. Here's the Pizza Monster next to a couple of the NECA Mirage Ninja Turtle action figures. If you're one of those people that's been dying, for the past 32 to 33 years or however long it's been, to have your original Playmates, Ninja Turtles, fight or stand next to a Pizza Monster on your shelf, and you were wondering, well, how does this Pizza Monster look next to those guys? Well, here you go. Here you can see what he looks like. It looks fine. Obviously he has a lot more articulation than they do, but it's still cool. It's still a nice mix and match. It's kind of like when you had Roadkill Rodney. They still looked pretty good next to them. Yeah, this well, and even your scales, I guess, probably a little closer to the cartoon because he's a lot bigger than them. These guys are smaller than the NECA Ninja Turtle toys. So this is cool. I like this. Here's the pizza monster next to some of the somewhat new but somewhat old um, Playmates Ninja Turtle action figures. They're these like 2-pack guys that were originally released almost 10 years ago, and now they're releasing them again. Obviously, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. NECA is completely decimating Playmates at the moment. They really need to hire some sculptors to help them out with some new figures in the future, but, whatever. And here's the pizza monster next to some of the Super 7 Ultimates. Now, he is taller than, I'm pretty sure, all these guys, but he just doesn't have the bulk that most of the Ultimates have. He looks pretty cool next to them, but I don't know how well he actually mixes in here. Like his cartoon deco is just probably a little too different. Boy, what a nasty set of creatures. So that's the brand new NECA Pizza Monster. It took a long time, but the wait was definitely worth it. I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. Like I said, you got the problems with the hips. Sometimes it's tough to stand them. But, aesthetically, they look great. The scale is pretty decent, and they just look vicious and monstrous. That's exactly what I wanted with these guys. So, next up, I'm trying to decide what to review next. I would really like to get Chrome Dome done, just so that I can have Chrome Dome available for scale comparisons and stuff like that. He's a pretty cool character. I feel like I can't believe I haven't had it made a review of him since I've got him 2 months ago or whatever. But I also kind of feel like I should do my review of the Channel 6 box set. I have both of these. I'm not even thinking about the second set of Punk Frogs yet. I have them, but I haven't begun to write anything about them. At least with the Chrome Dome and the Channel 6 reviews, I have about probably more than half written for both of those. So, it's just a matter of finishing those scripts or whatever and, just shooting them. So, let me know what you think. Should I do the Chrome Dome and get it over with, or do you think I should just get Channel 6 done now since that is the newer set that's been put out? I also have 3 of the Wave 4 Ultimates, but, I'm waiting for Casey Jones. I haven't gotten him yet, and I'd like to review all 4 of them at the same time. So let me know what you think. Have a good one, and talk to you later.